All right, so here we are in Act 1, Scene 2 of Hamlet. We've just heard the new king's opening remarks, and now we pick up. Remember, he has just given Cornelius and Voltimand a instruction to send a letter to the uncle in Norway of young Fortinbras, and now the Cornelius and Voltimand take their orders, and the scene continues. Okay? What's most interesting about the next stage is that instead of addressing Hamlet, who would really be the next person for him to address, right, because he's next in line for the throne, the king not only has usurped the throne, but kind of usurps Hamlet's place in the conversation and turns to Laertes. And this is our first introduction to yet another parallel family. This is the family of Laertes, Polonius, and Ophelia. Laertes, all you need to know about this is that he's come to Denmark to mourn the dead king, and now he would like to go back to France, where he goes to school. Okay? Claudius asks Laertes' father, Polonius, if that's fine, and Polonius says sure, and so Laertes is given permission to leave. And now the attention turns to Hamlet, okay? And the king, what I want you to notice here about these opening lines from Hamlet, first of all, is, you know, everybody else in this scene seems to be okay with the fact that the dead king's wife has married the dead king's brother, right? Everybody seems like, oh, that's no big deal. The one person who's upset about it is Hamlet. And I think you're going to get from his language here the intensity of his discomfort at what's going on here. So the king says, and now my cousin Hamlet and my son, right? So he's highlighting his relationship to Hamlet, cousin as a general term of kinship, and my son in the sense that he is now his stepson. Hamlet had been Claudius's nephew, now he is the stepson. And Hamlet says in an aside, a little more than kin and less than kind. And think about that language there, kin and kind. First of all, it's a very clever play on words. So he's saying he's more than kin to Claudius, right? He's more than just family. In fact, he's now nephew and stepson. But he also says he's less than kind. And I think there's, you know, a multiplicity of meanings there as well. One possibility is that he feels less than kindness towards Claudius. Another is that he doesn't feel like he's the same kind of person as Claudius, right? I may be your kin, Claudius, but I am not your kind. You are a different kind of person, a less noble person than Hamlet believes himself to be, okay? Now again, the king notices Hamlet's melancholy, right? He says, the clouds still hang on you, and which is a way of saying, you know, why are you still brooding? Why are you still upset? And Hamlet takes that metaphor, that image of being in the under clouds, and turns it right back on the king. First of all, he says, not so, my lord. Pay attention to this. It is very rare in Shakespeare that people say no to kings or queens. It's just not something you do. You defer. You say yes to them. Yes, sir. But here Hamlet objects, says, no, my lord, not so. And then he says, I am too much in the sun. And look at the multiplicity of meanings that are possible there, right? If we play with the metaphor, he's too much in the sun in the sense that the spotlight is too much on him. People are looking at him. People are trying to be aware of what he's doing. Another way to think of it, though, is he's too much the son, S-O-N, of the dead king, right? He's too much the son of the new King Claudius, as in his stepson. So right away from Hamlet's 2 opening lines in this play, we see just the incredible density and layering of his wordplay here. All right. So now the queen interjects, and she tries to be a little bit of a peacemaker here. And she says, "Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted color off," right? She says that she wants her son to stop looking for your noble father in the dust, right? Sort of pay attention to what's around you. And she says, "Thou knowest 'tis common, all that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity." And then he shoots right back at her. "Aye, madam, it is common," right? Now look at that. So we've already seen him turn cousin into kin and kind, and we've seen him turn clouds into sun. Now look what he does with his mother's use of the word common. She means common in the sense that a father's death is every day. It's just a normal occurrence, right? But he means common, I think, in another sense. He means common in the sense of that this is base, this is low class, this is vulgar, right? This is common, what you've done here, mother. You've buried my father and married his brother. That's what's common. And then she responds, she says, "Oh, well, if it be so common," she doesn't seem to get his wordplay, "why seems it so particular with thee?" And notice, now he jumps on the seems. First he jumped on her common, now he jumped on seems. And look at what he says here. "Seems, madam? Nay, it is." Right away we get a contrast between appearance and reality. Seems is the way things appear. It is the reality. And he says, "I know not seems." He says, "I'm not going through the motions of, I'm not going through all the actions that you might play to pretend to be mourning." He said, "All those seem, for they are actions that a man might play. But I have within which passes show, these but the trappings and the suits of woe." So what he's saying there to her basically is that he's not faking his sadness over his father's death. He is instead really feeling it. And he wants his mother to know that. And I think, implicit in this is his point, which is, "Mother, why aren't you showing this same kind of mourning for your dead husband as I am for my dead father, right? Why are you just all of a sudden going right back and marrying someone else, right?" I think another interesting thing, one thing you'll notice about Shakespeare's Hamlet is that this is a play that really refers to plays a lot. It's what we call self-referential. And here's one of the first instances of that we see, where Hamlet refers to a man playing a part, right? Playing the part of being in mourning. And he says, "That's not me." Now, of course, the irony is that the actor who's playing Hamlet is playing a part, right? So that's where you get that level of self-reference, okay? I'm going to stop there because this one has gone on long enough.